And welcome back, folks, to the week of who would win. The week of the... Honestly, if you're to ask me which one I prefer doing, it's a coin toss. Coin toss is what I meant to say. But it's a coin flip, because the week of who wins are just easier to do. I don't have to map out a story, I just have to do a theoretical fight. But the week of what ifs, I get to plow through a bunch of more stories. I get to, get closer to wrapping up the current ones, go on to new ones, all that. So it's a hit and miss. But if I were to say in terms of just easier on my person and, what I do on the channel, I'd say like the week of who wins a little bit easier, or a little bit more. But this one comes to us from Joseph McDuff, or Duffel, I believe. It was either McDuff or Duffel. I think it's Duff. Who asked the question, who won a fight? Aang, the Avatar. Did Aang have a surname? In fact, I don't think anyone had a surname no, Toph the Beifong family had a surname. Anyway, Aang versus Kazuma Yagami from Kazuno no Stigma of the Wind, which I actually own that series. The anime, not necessarily the manga, assuming there is a manga, which I believe there is. But yeah, that's just I was about to say Aang's last name. We never learned Aang's last name. In fact, except for, if I'm not mistaken, think words here. Toph, and I guess Ty Lee. He's like, is Ty Lee's actual first name fully Ty Lee, or is it just Ty? Anyway, yeah, surnames almost non-existent. Except, I guess maybe surnames are just for like major family households of notoriety. Either way, so they're both obviously wind users, wind manipulators, but they're also both different. Aang, obviously, excuse me, I'm still talking, I'm just getting crap out of my eye. Aang is obviously the Avatar, and therefore the bridge between the spirit worlds, and therefore capable of actually wielding all four elements. Kazuma Yagami, though, was a failed fire user who ended up leaving his family, and ultimately went to a contract with the wind spirit, becoming the contractor of the wind, and therefore becoming more or less, as described, the most powerful character in the series. So, I mean, Aang's been on this channel so many times, I can pretty much do him by Aang. Well, and yes, we can do adult Aang, but, there's not going to be that much of a difference, except a bit of an experience gap. His powers stay the same. Aang was considered one of the strongest avatars, if I'm not mistaken. He was the first one to unlock energy bending in probably, I think, God knows how many years. I think, if I'm not mistaken, and I did not watch Chorus, don't quote me on this one. I believe the first Avatar did know energy bending, but Aang obviously was the first one to use it in God knows how long. Obviously, as the Avatar, he is a master of all four elements. His bread and butter is wind, but he's extremely capable with water, was a natural fire prodigy, because wind and fire kind of complement each other. And Earth, he was always extremely competent with and pretty good with at the end of the series, but it was the one he struggled with the most. Though he could do many things with Earth, including making armor out of crystals, just rock, throwing multiple boulders. I loved how he condensed. I always go to the condensing the boulders against Ozai and then firing off like compressed bullets. That was pretty awesome. Water, he can freeze, he can ride on it, he can do the octopus technique, he can, fire giant blasts of water when they're around. Fire, just fire. Wind, the wind ball, wind shield, wind blast, slicing wind. He can actually super cool lava. That was a great example of how powerful Aang was. Is that when a volcano, basically a wave of lava comes and he just ramps up the wind, and just actually flash freezes the lava pretty much. Basically just super cools it down quick. Yeah, that was a great moment to show off how powerful Aang was. And that was just first season. He only ended up getting stronger. And obviously the Avatar state is basically him collecting all the past Avatars' experience and power and then, throwing it at the opponent pretty much. Hence why he was able to do what he did. And he can go into it at will by the end of the series. Kazuma Yagami can pretty much do whatever Aang can do. His limitation within is only limited by what his imagination can do. He can make a windshield, he can fly. In fact, the thing is, he can fly without the use of a glider. Although Aang eventually did that too with the Avatar state. He can just fly around. Wind blasts, wind gusts. He can see spirits and can see sorcerers. So in essence, you could see that Aang is different than a normal person. One of the best, and again, I'm going strictly by the anime because that's what I watched. If I'm not mistaken, there is a manga to this as well. But one of the biggest things he did in the anime was he was stuck in this kind of looped dimension at one point, and he knew he was stuck in it. He looked up and he actually cut through the dimension. His wind can actually cut through the third dimension. That it can cut space itself. That's impressive. It can also apparently because you get enough high velocity wind and grind it enough, you can create static electricity. He can manipulate electricity as well. Now, between the two of them, I will say so. There is a weakness that they draw on the spirits in the atmosphere basically for their power. Eventually, you can tire yourself out. You can just be you can't do anymore. That's how tired you can be in the world of Kazuma Stigma, or Kazuma Stigma. Because there's earth, fire, water, and wind spirits. In the anime, we never see water spirits, surprisingly. We do get a little bit of earth spirits, but it's mostly fire and wind that we deal with on the general basis of things. And, other spirits show up also. But those are in terms of your elemental spirits. So the question is, who would win the fight? Well, I'll actually say this right up front. I think Kazuma's general power output, without factoring Avatar State, and even then, is actually stronger than Aang's. And I say that because, again, he cut through a freaking dimension. He cut through a pocket dimension he was trapped in and freed himself. That's something Aang, even being the bridge between the spirit and the human world, can't do. However, in terms of versatility, Aang's got the versatility advantage down. He's just got, plus he has God knows how many generations of avatars worth of experience when he goes into the avatar state, and he wields his staff is technically not a weapon, but he can wield it as a weapon if he so chooses. So if these two met in a fight, honestly, these two, let's be clear right now, in an actual scenario where these two meet, they do not fight. They are not characters that would be naturally opposed to each other. They'd probably just chill and hang and swap notes on wind techniques. That's what would really happen. But if a scenario happened where they were forced to fight, Aang would probably be the aggressor. And Kazuma would probably know. So Aang, fires wind, but Kazuma's just so you can use the wind too. That's interesting. And he just fires a gust at Aang. Aang blocks it with earth. It's wait, you can use earth. That's interesting. Well then, he just starts, slicing to the earth, just concentrated slices. Aang is, avoiding going on his scooter. He's oh, that's a fun. I can see Kazuma just looking at what Aang's doing, just I never thought about doing that. And Aang just launches fire, which Kazuma would not be prepared for, though he probably would expect okay, he can use earth. All right, can he use that? Shit, he can use fire too. Oh, that's not good. All right, that's enough, kid. And just traps Aang in a ball. Aang, though, does grab some water from a nearby punch, blast Kazuma, who's not prepared. All four of them? What the hell? It's and then, Aang now fires gusts of wind. Kazuma's dodging, probably blocking. Finally, he's all right, enough's enough. And he just channels he starts getting lightning channeled. Aang sees this, what the hell? And just, blasts lightning. But Aang was taught to redirect lightning by Zuko and actually just blast it outwards, not blasting it at Kazuma because that's not in Aang's nature. And Kazuma's the hell? He just redirected that lightning? He's all right, and Aang's just that's enough, and just goes into Avatar state. So it comes down to who's going to win in that clash, because again, Kazuma, when he really has to, could unleash a slicing attack or cutting attack that can actually cut through a dimension. So can Aang avoid that? Can Aang dodge that? Can Aang outpower that? Well, for everything we've seen Aang do, I don't think he can overpower that attack. But because of the nature of basically a cut type attack, it's a very linear-based attack. It's very easy to see where it's going and how to avoid it. So I ultimately think Aang avoids the attack pretty easy, and then just overwhelms Kazuma with just sheer elemental force. Kazuma's standing, but he's tiring out. That, in and of itself, is I think where Aang ultimately takes the edge. take just his versatility out of the equation, which he has more versatility overall than Kazuma does, at least from what we can see, is that he's got once he's an Avatar State, he has far more years of experience under his belt once he does that. But B, he does, benders, even when they're completely taxed and tired, can still manipulate their element. It's just, it's just a matter of stamina and all that, but they can still manipulate their element. Whereas individuals in the Kazuma stigma, in the Kaze no stigma, God, in the Kaze no stigma world, they can basically run out. Basically, it's like a mana gauge in a video game. They can run out of energy to use. They can. It'll replenish itself. It's like chakra, basically. It'll replenish itself. And they do draw from the atmosphere. But if they're drawing from the spirits, and the spirits, kind of use up all the spirits' power, then they're kind of done at that point. Like, there's not much else they can do until, the spirits, like, show back up again. They replenish their state. It's basically a stamina issue. And he can go into his contractor power and do a really super thing. Basically, his version of the Avatar State. But again, apart from being able to cut a dimension, there isn't anything he really demonstrates that Aang can't do himself. Like, the level of power in the show is pretty comparable to each other. It's just that Kazuma has one attack that Aang can't hope to defend against. Apart from, dodging, which Aang, fortunately, is kind of one of his bread and butter techniques in a fight, is to dodge, evade, and, hit and, think words here. Dodge, evade, and counterattack. Because that's kind of his style as an airbender, is to dodge, evade, and counterattack. So ultimately, and then if it comes down to energy bending, unfortunately, this is where Aang might, I doubt he would try to energy bend Kazuma, honestly. I think he would just wear out Kazuma and then go in for the knockout blow. If he tried to energy bend Kazuma, the problem is the fact that Kazuma does have a contract with the Wind Spirit and has all the Wind Spirit's power and stuff. The Wind Spirit King, to be precise. That does pose a problem because Aang was able to overpower a human, sure. But he's now overpowering a Spirit King being thing. Like, I don't know if Aang is... Yes, he's the bridge between the spirit worlds, but he's still technically only human. So, I don't know if that'd be wise. But Aang probably wouldn't go to that, resort to that. Mostly because he probably wouldn't need to resort to that. So, my money is on Aang, again, for experience, versatility, raw power in the Avatar State. And natural, fighting style, too. Although, Kazuma certainly can take some wins, especially with, again, getting the right slice and just slicing Aang out. And Aang just drops dead. So, there's certainly at times Kazuma can win, I think. But Aang, I think, ultimately is the winner in this scenario. But what do you think? You think it is Aang, or you think I'm dead wrong and Kazuma wins all the time? Let me know in the comments below. Well, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, if you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. Do a review of it at some point. Hit that bell if you want to be notified. I'll see you folks next time. Later.